You can either see my face or the costume, so like, that's about the best of both you're gonna get. So this is my new Bucky as Cap cosplay. For those of you who don't know, in the comics, Bucky actually became Captain America after Steve like yeeted before Sam did. Although of course I support in the MCU, it makes more sense because Bucky's still he not fully there. But I just love the kind of concept. I love Bucky as a character, and I saw some really cool concept art that took his kind of comic book Cap suit and kind of incorporated that with the MCU. The way he always has like these straps across his chest, like these straps across his chest, like he always had kind of straps, and that whole kind of like shield, like point thing here. So I decided to go with that, and I made this entire bit from scratch. The star was from one friend, and the metal parts of the buckles and the back buckle bits are from another friend. This is kind of like the first time I've made a costume like to this level. I actually made this before my Dak and Wolverine that's been on my page for a while now, but I was just waiting for the arm to arrive before I could do stuff. So yeah, this is based off of concept art that I found online. I kind of made my own kind of little adjustments to it, like I wasn't really sure how many straps to go down or how many dots and things there and like where the star would line up. I also kind of like for the straps on this arm type of thing, I kind of wanted like you see these white lines going through here, but then I kind of weathered them up because I kind of wanted it to kind of match this arm in a way. I just thought that looked cool. And also in the comics he has the entire suit that covers both arms. But I was speaking to my girlfriend cosplay English, Lucy, who is a massive Cap fan. She's a Peggy Carter fan, like hardcore Peggy Carter fan. Like, yeah, she knows what she's talking about. And she was like, the main MCU people who don't know anything about the comics might just think you're just cosplaying Cap in a different suit, like a concept art of like Steve Cap. And I was like, yeah, that's a good point. Also, I'm not blonde, so I decided to keep the metal arm out, which I think just looks so much cooler as well. Also have this helmet and shield. I'll put them on. So this is the helmet. It is a Cattoys one that I've kind of repainted to kind of have a bit more of like a metallic-y kind of look, blue to it. In the comics, like Bucky's Cap suit is more of like a turquoisey blue. So I just kind of like went with that. This shield I've also got up on my page kind of separately, which is like a, I can't remember, Marvel Legends something series. It's on my page. I did like a 1 minute review, so go look at that. The arm is printed in TPU, which is why it's kind of quite flexible, as well as the hand. And I want to go with silver kind of in the gaps instead of gold, because I think gold would look a little bit off with the rest of this suit. The files were from Do3D, and it was 3D printed by Charlie Mott in the UK here, so like check him out on Instagram. He can print things, like a variety of things. So yeah, that's the suit. So follow me, let's go see how I made it all. So I started off with a base t-shirt. It's the way I generally do, just an old t-shirt that I don't use anymore, long sleeve. Draw on kind of the lines I want it to be, where I want it to kind of go on me. Just kind of get the rough lines where it goes kind of per, like where the bicep ends and the pecs and like kind of where my chest is and where I want like the stomach bit to end. Bits like that, just get the rough lines, then flattened that out and then gone into more detail kind of thing. Then I've gone and got here, I'm using Cordura fabrics, which are kind of like the Cap films. They make it look like it's Cordura, very kind of military kind of based, but it's actually a 4-way stretch fabric, but Cordura, much cheaper than that. So I've got the Cordura here, I've put some masking tape over the kind of fabric, which flattens it out, and then I can kind of get templates more from it and kind of can draw on it a little bit easier. So that's what I'm doing here. Going over that with Sharpie, after going with pencil and pen and stuff. Going over those again just to make them kind of a bit stronger, and then putting them onto paper and then duplicating them onto the Canva Cordura fabric. Doing the same here with the red parts as well as the white parts and the blue parts, just doing all the parts to make sure you have a bit of an edge around the end, like an edge to them so you can fold over the fabric and you've got like sewing space. Now I'm cutting out each kind of panel in the way the kind of abs go, and then cutting it out into foam. Using dark foam for the red areas I started, and then I kind of realised I need white foam for the white fabric because it shows through. Now I tested out using a heat gun and seeing what that would work like if I like put a heat gun over the fabric or over the foam, but it just kind of flattened it out as I did here. So I ended up having to remake the white areas. But it works great if I just put Gorilla Glue contact adhesive on it, glued them straight to it and kind of left that to dry. Once that's all dried, here I am kind of pinning them together on the inside, and then you see when I fold it over, it comes out like that. Now back to the chest piece, I'm folding over the areas. The blue fabric is much thicker than the black, white and red that I'm using. It's, I think, 420 GSM, something like that, compared to the others are 220. So I was able to just fold this and it kind of held quite nicely without having to pin it too much, but having to pin it when it goes down onto kind of the chest area. But it's much more rigid, so be aware of that. If I could have redone this suit from scratch, I'd get 220 GSM all the way, and maybe incorporate a little bit more lycra for stretchability. There is the torso, kind of just tack sewed is how I call it, just kind of roughly like sewn together, just to hold it in place, and then putting that onto the base shirt, pinning that together, seeing how that works, pinning down the like torso ab area, making sure that's all layered up so you don't see the weird kind of edges, and then working out kind of, great thing about this, because it's a concept suit, I could kind of make extra panels and things to make it fit in areas instead of trying to be like directly from something, so I could just add extra bits in, and I think that worked out quite well. Really kind of like the squared kind of edge around the chest here. I think it looks quite kind of, I don't know, 1940s military. And then the black Cordura, I could have just gone around in one way, but I just like added some interesting panels, just really winged it with this. Drew on it from the inside and then flipped it on the outside. And here I am just pinning that down. I've cut the sleeves off this because the same way for the Cap suits in the films and Daredevil's suit, kind of basically the MCU like suits that are tactical like that, they are actually two parts. They are a vest and an undershirt. That kind of, the vest goes over the top, so I'm doing the same way here. And there's a kind of test fit, a few pins in. I pinned myself a lot, it hurt, but here we are, things we do for cosplay. And there I'm just saying how I had to add in the new kind of white panels. Now I've also kind of added in some fabric underneath that as well, and then kind of sewn through to kind of really highlight those kind of like foam panels. Now for the arm, I just got a sleeve, worked out kind of my sleeve size, how long that had to be, drew around that again, cut that out, flipped that over, pinned that, and then just checked if my arm would fit through that, and it didn't, because the fabric I was using before was a little bit stretchy. The Cordura, not very stretchy, so had to give it a bit more space. Then just decided where I want some kind of like panels look to them, and pinning that in place, flipping them over. And then I realised actually it looked quite cool to have kind of white bits coming through, kind of like in Cap's kind of Civil War suit. Actually, he has kind of red in areas, so I added white instead on that, and black kind of on the very like wrist. I also thought it looked quite cool, as I mentioned earlier in the video, when I have the arm, it looks quite good to have kind of the silver coming through on the arm, and then the other arm has the kind of white there, but then I've then weathered this later on in the video and it kind of stands out. And here I'm just getting the blue Cordura again and kind of winging it, making the shoulder. Getting rough sort of shapes and things together. Lots of pinning, lots of trial and error. There's a little kind of rough shoulder piece. It didn't bend quite how I wanted it to, so I ended up redoing this. But again, because this was a concept art based suit, not off of something specific, I'm trying to recreate something specific and kind of be accurate in a way, I can just wing it, add extra panels, change things. It was quite nice to have that sort of freedom. Testing that all out, checked it fit in my arm, it did, turn it inside out, put the pins in, and then get it through the sewing machine again. I think I have to loosen it a little bit here, and then yeah, fit my arm okay. Trimmed off any kind of excess, and then yeah, now I throw it through the sewing machine. Oh god, this was still on my old sewing machine. When I made this video, I've made this over a few months, so this was my old sewing machine. And then a test fit, that does kind of fit, and then I pinned it to another shirt as a base shirt, because as I mentioned, it'll be like a base shirt and then an over vest thing. And then I decided not to use that blue shirt you kind of saw a minute ago, because it was too stretchy. I wanted something a bit more like not so stretchy. The neck was such an awkward area to do. Even Cap's suit in like Winter Soldier and stuff, his neck just kind of looks a little bit off. I kind of wanted straps, didn't really work.
and yeah, it was pulling on one side, but once I kind of add more straps to it and stuff, it will be more solid because the base fabric has a bit more stretch to it compared to the Cordura that's attached to the right arm. Anyway, now I'm moving on to the pockets. I just worked out kind of the rough size I wanted, made some fabric. You kind of fold it over in this kind of way, they fold in on each other. Just kind of roughly showing here how I do that. Worked out front, back, side, a little bit on the top, one nice little pointy top bit, and then transferred that onto the fabrics. So in the suit I've used a variation on the black fabrics of black, pleather and Cordura. So at the moment I'm using some Cordura and then also some pleather here, and I decided it would look quite cool if I had kind of the base of each pocket to be one and then the flap to be another. So I've got, as you kind of see here, they're all at one at the moment, but then I flip it over and I'm going to change this about a bit. And ta-da, there it is. So you've got kind of Cordura for the base of the pocket, and then the flap, it will be leather, or the other way around. And then once you sew them together, you just turn them inside out, and ta-da, there they are. At the moment, I haven't made them practical pockets. I need to get some more Velcro or buckles or something. So I'm effectively just going to put some cardboard inside and sew them shut. I got this plastic knife as well, it's con safe because Bucky has a knife, and I just made a little pouch for that. And then I made some straps out of just spare pleather and nylon webbing, and these buckles and kind of back buckle bits were from a friend. He just had them spare because he's had a lot of like harnesses. I don't know how he's gone through so many harnesses. Matt, how do you do it? But he had these spares and he was just going to throw them out, so I was like, I'll take them, please. So I've made use of them and sewn them and made my own kind of straps. I got to wing it with these as well because these are black straps, unlike caps usually kind of brown and have a specific look to them. But again, concept art, I could do what I wanted. And here I kind of all this together bit by bit. And I think that's it done, because now I must be at the stage where basically I'm getting my airbrush and kind of adding weathering to this to make it pop. And here I was just testing out the weathering if I put black weathering onto the white and blue fabrics, and then I kind of brushed it off, see if it would come off, things like that. And here I am just kind of weathering the suit, just getting into those little crevices, making it all kind of pop a bit more. Progressively you're seeing this through the video, how it all pops a bit more. Doing it to the arm as well, bit by bit. Did it in a few coats. I noticed if you did it too much in one area, because the Canva fabric is waterproof, it just bunched up in one area and kind of became like droplets, and you didn't want that. I'm not really sure what order I did the straps in, to be honest. I kind of sewn them, took them off, redid it, so on and so forth. And here's a little test fit. With the original gloves I was going to use, which were a much lighter brown, but a little bit too small, so I've gone with a darker brown in the end. And then this is the helmet from Cattoys. It's quite good. It was very basic, there wasn't much depth to it. The colour wasn't quite right with the blue that I had. I tried testing out if I could paint the Canva blue a little bit darker, but it didn't really work. Here's a star I got from a friend who didn't use it. I think he had it for an Infinity War cap that he modified from a Civil War suit, and he just had the spare star that he'd taken off. So thank you, John, for that, JBR Cosplay. And I'm gluing that down. And then this is the arm. This was 3D printed in TPU, and this was kind of the process. Used some solvent glue to glue it together bit by bit. It took a while to glue together, but it eventually got there. Little test fit. And just showing off the flexibility. And then after that, I just got some silver paint, went into the edges, like all of the kind of little crevices, gone to all of those. That took a while. Once that was done, I got some black puff paint, which was the only thing I knew would be flexible, and kind of just went over the edges and sharpened that up. Then painted the actual bit itself with black. I don't think I filmed this, but I also attached it to a harness.
And that's how I made all of that stuff. So upgrades wise, of course, there's always trial and error, and works out areas you do upgrades. On this, the wrist is fraying a little bit, and I'm going to put like a zipper just in the forearm bit. So I want it to be tight around the wrist, so that like when I put my arm through the shield, it follows through, the sleeve doesn't get kind of like bunched up in the elbow area. The arm is a little bit too large. Like look at this arm. Then look at this arm, it's black on the screen, black fabric, so you can't really see so much anyway, but it just looks a little bit too disproportionate. The original that I wanted to go for was urethane, but it's a bit more expensive. I might go for that. Depending on the time seeing this video, this arm is for sale, so take the arm. It might not be, depending on the time you see this video, who knows. But upgrades wise, I would get a urethane arm. just because of the size of this, and it's not quite as flexible as I want it to be. It's like, it takes a bit of effort to do that, and after wearing this for a shoot, I kind of got a bruise like here on my arm from where that's where the point like kind of puts pressure on there. Also, the arm arrived quite late, sadly, to when I was then doing the shoot, so I need to sand this down freshly and kind of like go into the holes a little bit more with kind of like a hot knife or a soldering iron type of thing, just to kind of like get them a bit more sharp and then repaint it type of thing. Also, this fabric being Cordura is not very breathable and not stretchy at all. So I'm noticing some pictures kind of like the like bits kind of like pop out a little bit in a way. I don't know, you need kind of a bit more of a 4-way stretch fabric ideally, but this works pretty damn well. I'm pretty damn happy with it. So I think that's the only upgrades I do to this suit. I'm pretty happy with it overall. I'm actually loving wearing this. It feels so cool and I can't wait to wear it at a con. So thank you for watching how I made this all. If it's helped you or gonna help you make things like this, then do the things like comment and say thank you. You helped me. I'd love to see Bucky become Captain America in the MCU someday, but Sam has literally just become Cap. So like 5-6 years down the line or something, or you know, multiverse. You never know with the multiverse. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed the video, and yeah, like, subscribe. Thank you. I love this suit so much.